Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Remember waking up early just to catch your favorite cartoons? WESN brings back those magical mornings with Retro Saturdays.
Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born!
Where the young at heart relive the fun. Join us every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, only on WESN, the content capital.
Money is something we all deal with, but how many of us truly understand it? What if you could make better decisions with your money? Decisions that secure your future, protect your family, and bring you peace of mind. I'm Darren Jacobs, and I'm here to help you make sense of your dollars. Welcome to Dollars and Cents, the show that breaks down the financial world in ways that matter to you. No jargon, no confusion, just real conversations about money, your money. So join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on WESN for Dollars and Cents.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really want
to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why?
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. So here we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm not to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break a balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the game.
no.
Let's go to the last part.
WESN.
Good morning and welcome to AM Prime on WESN. I am Takia Thompson, your host for our Thriving and Throwback Thursday show. This morning, we'd like to focus on our Thriving Today segments featuring two local authors. With a background rooted in social work and academic research, Claire Thomas is channeling her deep understanding of children's experience into storytelling that is both meaningful and imaginative. The Trinidad and Tobago-based author has released Ingenious Written Imagery, Volume 1, alongside her first children's mystery novel, Uncovered, a gripping tale designed for readers aged 8 to 14. Drawing inspiration from nature, lived experience, and her professional work with youth, Thomas continues to bridge the worlds of academia and creativity, crafting stories that explore identity, resilience, and discovery. She joins us in studio. Good morning, Claire.
Hi, good morning.
So lovely to have you in studio here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So right off the bat, what inspired that transition from social work and research into writing books for children and general readers?
So I wouldn't say I really transitioned.
Okay.
I believe it's a collaboration because social work is very dynamic. And as a social worker, your basis is research. Well, you definitely have to research before you're able to write any topic or any of the subjects that you have to study. So to me, it was if you want to say it's a transition, I would say it was a smooth transition because I would have used information and experiences from social work and formulated into writing.
And we're going to dive a bit deeper into it. So how has your experience working with young people influenced your storytelling style and even themes?
Okay. I have been working with children for over 20 years, both in the private and public sector. Wow. And so therefore it is an extreme joy to work with children. And especially when they are classed as one of the vulnerable groups in society. And when I see a child would have gone through a situation and then become resilient and empower themselves, or with the help of social workers like myself, that definitely stood out. And I found that using my skills of the information that I have learned to be able to help the children in that direction.
Beautifully said. So we know you have a strong academic background. So how do you balance, because I mean, you said, starting from the top, you said it's a constant research that you're doing as a social worker. So how do you balance that research and creativity in your writing?
Well, writing to me has two segments, academic writing and then creative writing. And I believe my Heavenly Father is a creative being. I am a product of his creativity, so therefore I use my creativity to blend the two. So it's like a marriage, working hand in hand. So that taste for academic or academia, research, it's very exciting for me. And so therefore it just transposed into creative writing. So I'll be able to take both, marry it, and work to suit.
Yeah, I love it already. And let's talk a bit about the book. So what does the title in Genius Written Imagery represent to you personally?
Okay, so I started writing when I began my undergrad in 2008. And I would just write and put down stuff. And then one day a family member said, but why are you writing? Who are you writing for? And so therefore I realized that I had enough pieces to create a book. So I said, but this has to be ingenious. And it is not from my perspective, it's from the Heavenly Father, right? Because my base is Christian, right?
Yes.
So I said, but this is really ingenious. And then when I was trying to get a title for the book, I said, but this is ingenious writing. So then why not just name the book Ingenious Written Imagery? Wow. But there was so much information on different topics and themes, right, that I said it has to be a volume one. There has to be another volume.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So that's how the name came about.
Wow. And you mentioned the topics and themes. So what themes or even messages do you hope readers take away from this first volume?
All right. So in this first volume, one of my favorite pieces would be power and control, because you realize that sometimes in the world, people use their power to control others and not use their power to influence people positively. So power and control is one of the topics that's very close to me. Actually, I performed it at one of my classes at university, right? And then in society, for me, education is very important, right? And as we educate ourselves, we have to share that information and knowledge to others. That's my belief. So there's a piece on education and how important education is. And my background is musical. My family, yes, my father, I have 2 sisters who sing. I have a son who sings as well and perform. They all do this. So music, there's another piece on music, but the music in how it is written, to me, the creativity, I just find it so ingenious, and I know that is not just about me, right? And there are another pieces on love, because for me, I believe I'm given a second chance at this thing called love, and so therefore some of the pieces, they're a little spicy, right? So, but to me, ingenious written imagery is more or less for adult content, right? And teenagers can read it too, but teenagers, you know, not more youth. Yeah? So 18 and over. You know, just to be cautious, right? So you'll find a lot of pieces. There's pieces there on nature, love. There's a piece that I read, I was reading the script and this stood out, stiff-necked people. Why are we so stiff-necked, right? So a lot of fun pieces in there, and just putting everything together and not having a team. But when the book was lined up, so hats off to Artie as well, Artie Gosign, right? And when it was lined up, it just created its own team. So that's why I say it has to be ingenious.
Definitely, the way you just spoke about it and, you know, take us through it, it definitely gives ingenious. Absolutely. And I know you said, well, the target audience, or the audience you rather said, was for the adults, but when you wrote it, was that the vision for it, or did you have like a primary audience in mind when you were writing pieces and then bringing it all together?
My primary group will always be the youth. But because of the little spice in it, I just wanted to protect the youth, because I am an advocate for youth. So therefore, my vision will always be to protect the youth. So then after it was published, I said, well, I think this is more a category for adults. But some of my former students would ask, Miss, can I purchase that book? Because they just, you know, they're intrigued, they want to know what's in the contents, they know, right? But I believe it can be utilized for both adolescents and above.
Wow. Yes. That's beautiful. I like that there's still a middle ground that gets to meet at some point. So let's talk about your other book and, you know, the idea behind it. What sparked that idea for your first children's mystery novel, Uncovered? And I know you have the books here, so if you want to raise it up to just show.
Yes, this is Uncovered.
The picture from the front already is intriguing me to want to read. So what sparked that idea for this book?
Well, because Ingenious Written Imagery, the first book, was more geared towards adolescent and adult, I said, but my worth as a human being, for me, my passion is children. I've always been passionate about children, and because sometimes they are the most misunderstood group. The group that most people would not listen to. So I decided that because I work with these children and for the love of children, so hats out to persons like Ruth Bino and Jaden and Katia and Maya. These children, they would come with me every day into my office. And I say, I have to do something for these kids. So that started the birth of, I need to do something. So why not start something mysterious? So that's where the ideas came from.
I like that. And in the story as well, it highlights teamwork, you know, courage and discovery. Why were these values important to include in it?
Because in teamwork, as a social worker, teamwork is high on the agenda, because you have to team up with other colleagues to get the job done. So teamwork is like collaboration. Right? And that courage brings out the bravery, right? And so I thought that putting all these together will be a good fit for a book called Uncovered.
Absolutely. And how did you approach writing a mystery story for children aged 8 to 14?
Because, as I said before, that age group, you remember your mind is so tender.
Right.
And because of my experience working with children who come from traumatic experiences, and I see some of the things that the children have experienced, I thought that it would have been fitting to have a space just for them alone, to be able to, like a go-to. Yeah, so.
Wow, yeah, definitely. And even along the lines, do you see storytelling as a form of healing or advocacy? As, I mean, you mentioned it before, but just to, expand on that.
Yes, I believe that reading, storytelling, actually, in order to do your studies, you must be able to read. You have to love reading.
That is true.
Because if you can read any material, then you'll be able to be successful at any of them. And the storytelling now, children go through experiences, traumatic experiences, and it's just a little window, a little space for them to take a rest from the trauma that they're experiencing and get into a different world. And that world will be able to change their thought processes, shift the thinking. Right? And it will therefore bring forth healing, some healing.
Wow.
So that is what I'm hoping.
Definitely. And just to bring it home a bit, so we know that, you're inspired by music and nature art and even your experiences, but can you tell us, like, how does that show up in your work?
By the different pieces. Because one day I was sitting on Brian Lara Promenade just waiting for a family member to come to the car. And I saw this guy just walking up and down, like he's out of his mind. And I created a piece right there. I created a piece there, right? And just looking at him, the words just started to flow. So I always have pen and paper, because sometimes things happen. I visited the beach and I picked up a stone and a piece came. So different, the nature come in there, right? Music as well, and nature. Well, nature is my go-to. So I always find some inspiration while I am either on a nature trail, out in the open, that always occurs.
Wow. And what do you hope children in general feel when they read your books? Well, the book,
I feel that I want them to experience some hope. Because I know, based on working with kids go through a lot. And when you can read something that is not about you and can inspire you, I believe you become hopeful.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, you definitely do. And you can tell us, Claire, without giving away too much if you don't want to, what's next for you as an author?
Well, actually, right now, based on Uncovered, I'm getting a good feedback.
Okay.
Right? So I am doing a creative book for the children. So like creative activities in the book. So from this Uncovered, you will get a book now where you can sit down. Some of the characters you'll be able to color, words and meaning, fill in the blank, crossword puzzles. So I believe in education, and I believe when we educate our youth, we can elevate them. So anything that is educational, I will always be involved in that.
Yeah, I love it already. And I'm excited. I mean, I know you said children, but I feel like some adults still tend to go over to that side with the creative book, activity books, and just keep it close to us because, we want to relive those past memories that we would have had. So it sounds like something that's definitely going to pique everyone's interest and not just the children who it's mainly targeted for. So that's a great thing. And also tell us, where can we find your books? If persons would like to get it or they're interested in reading it, where can we get it?
Well, for the first book, it's located at Scribbles and Quail in Chaguanas. And the second book will soon be there as well. Amazon and Kindle, and from the author. And I am, there's a event that is coming up, Book and Stage, in October. I will there be a vendor, so you could come on there and, experience ingenious written imagery and uncover, and have your own personal piece and signed by the author.
real plan right there. So it's definitely something we could look forward to and look out for, because you know it's upcoming. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely, for coming on and sharing your books with us, sharing your stories with us, and just wanting us to be a part of that experience with you.
I appreciate this. Thank you very much. And don't forget, come out, support local artists, because we have a lot of local inspiration. We have a lot of people in Trinidad and Tobago, in the Caribbean, and we have a lot to share with the world. Some of our experiences might have you a little livid, but come on and support the local artists.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Guys, as we about to take a short break, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
Trinidad and Tobago, get ready for a musical explosion of freedom, culture, and pure steel band magic.
Featuring 5 of the nation's super bands, plus their talented youth bands.
Get ready for generations of steel.
The ultimate celebration of our national instrument.
Featuring 5 of the nation's super bands, plus their talented youth band.
Experience the power and passion of Desperados,
Shell Invaders,
Massey Trinidad All-Stars,
First Citizens Supernovas,
and the pride of the South, Fun Play. Saturday, July 11th
at the iconic Grandstand, Queens Park, Savannah.
And hear this one. First 800 tickets sold. Admit 2 buses on 1 ticket if bought by Saturday, June 27th.
Presented by Super Panman, Dane Gulston and Friends.
Supported by CCNTV 6, The Express Newspaper, and I-95.5 FM.
Generations of Steel, the biggest pan event after Panorama.
You would be surprised, a lot of the patients who present to us with infection in their feet, the infection would have started several days before. Now, the interesting thing is, neuropathy usually goes hand in hand with peripheral arterial disease. So these patients lose the sensation to feel. Now, they may have the ability to have crude touch or general sensation, but that fine sensation, for instance, when a needle sticks them or a thumbtack sticks them, they would lose that sensation.
Correct.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas, and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Are you driven, ambitious, and ready to earn? WESN, the content capital, is expanding, and we're looking for dynamic media sales executives to join our team. Sell powerful advertising solutions across television, digital, and social media platforms, and help brands tell their story. If you have strong communication skills, a passion for sales, and the drive to succeed, join WESN today. Send your CV to marketing@wsncc.com or WhatsApp 6861662 and start building your future.
In this day of stay at home and work from home, home has never meant more than it does today. Whether you're looking to buy, rent, or build your new home, now is the time to get going. Gittins & Gittins real estate agents are here to take you to that place of your dreams. Let us take you home. We help you find that rental to rest along the way, or journey with you to find your home destination. Investors and commercial enterprises too. Call us and we'll walk the distance to place your business in just the right location. Owners, leave the headaches to us. We'll find your tenants or buyers while you stay at home. We'll even manage your property at your bidding. Anything real estate, come home to Gittins & Gittins Real Estate. Call us at 760-3280 or 747-1220 or visit us at 16 Fifth Street in Woodbrook.
Welcome back. Continuing it with our Thriving Today segment, Trinidad and Tobago has a rich literary tradition exploring themes of identity, history, culture, migration, and social issues, often drawing inspiration from the island's diverse heritage and unique experiences. The story of Indian indentureship is one of sacrifice, resilience, and the search for belonging, a story that helped shape our nation's identity. In her first full-length historical novel, A Place to Call Home, author and publisher Artie Hossain transport readers back to colonial Trinidad through the eyes of Suku, a young man who leaves India in search of a better life, only to encounter unimaginable hardships and a defining moment in the country's history, the 1884 Jose Massacre. She's best known for her award-nominated children's books. Hossain now ventures into historical fiction in a deeply personal, moving narrative. She joins us today to speak about the inspiration behind the novel and why preserving these stories remains so important. Good morning, Ms. Hossain.
Hey, good morning, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
And good morning to all your listeners and viewers.
Yeah. So for those who haven't yet read A Place to Call Home, can you share with us the backstory on it?
Okay, so A Place to Call Home, as you mentioned before, follows the journey of Suku from India to Trinidad as an indentured laborer.
Yeah.
A little known bit of our history is the Jose Massacre, which took place in 1884. And Suku, being one of the headmen on the estate, he played an integral part in having these Jose observances and in the Jose Massacre that took place. In 1884, the British authorities were getting a little bit scared of the indentured immigrants on the estate, in that they thought that they would soon cause an uprising. And they put several regulations into place to prevent the Jose from being taken onto the main road. And those who participated in the Jose from all the estates, they were in disagreement with this, because this was their tradition, this was their heritage and their culture, and they did not want anybody to interrupt that. And they felt that the British authorities were trying to take away their culture from them.
Yeah.
So that was the backstory to the entire book.
Wow. And what inspired the character Suku?
So Suku was actually a real person. He is a real figure in the Jose Massacre. In that story, he was a leader to the indentured immigrants. So among all the characters in that book, he is one of those who was actually a real person.
Wow.
We don't know much about him. There's not a lot in the history library or written about him of his time outside of that Hussein massacre. So where he came from and his life before is something that I made up. That's the fiction part of it.
Right.
Since there's very little information on him and on a lot of the indentured characters.
And what made you, or why did you decide to make your first historical novel center on the Indian indentureship experience?
Okay, so being of East Indian descent, growing up with my grandmother, who actually worked on the sugarcane plantations as a laborer. And I didn't know my grandfathers, but they were also working on the plantations. It's part of my heritage, part of my legacy. Growing up, and I grew up in Central, so I'm surrounded by the sugarcane factory. So I think it was a natural focus for me to try to find out more about these people, more about our forefathers and what they went through, what they endured when they came from India, the conditions that they had to live under. So for me, it was learning about my family, and wanting to share the experiences with, everyone else.
Wow, yeah, that's beautiful. And the title, A Place to Call Home, it's very powerful. So what does home mean in the context of this story?
So home, we see home coming from Suku's point of view. He left India because, the fiction part of it that I talked about, he was a beggar. So there were not much opportunities for him for upward movement or to, provide more for his family. He was struggling. So when this opportunity came to move to Trinidad and to work on the sugar plantations, he jumped at it because he saw it as a chance for a better life. And actually, when you read through the book, the end of the first section, he is standing on the dock of the ship and looking out at Trinidad, and he is saying, this is a place that he could call home.
Wow.
So for him, Trinidad became his home, not where he came from previously.
Yeah.
So it was like him starting all over, starting his life over in this new place that would become his home.
Wow. And why was it important for you to explore themes of faith, resilience, and belonging?
Belonging, I believe that everybody belongs somewhere. And knowing where you belong to or where you came from, it grounds you. It helps you with your life, helps you to help you structure, move forward when you know where you've come from. Whether you still accept the traditions and the heritage of the past, but it gives you something to build on and something to move forward with. It's always part of you as a person. You always belong somewhere.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, especially in Trinidad right now, we're going through a tough time with the crime and the economy and all of that, and we have to be resilient. And if we look back at our forefathers, whether they be, whatever race, they were all resilient when they came here. They all had to, start a new life, accept the conditions that were here in Trinidad at that time, and build from it. So they had to be resilient in accepting what they had moved into and building to go forward.
Yeah. And the novel, it revisits, as you mentioned before, the 1884 Ojose massacre. So that's a chapter of history many people may still know very little about. Why did you feel compelled to tell this story?
For the very same reason you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Very few people, it's not in our history books. It's not something, I mean, in our school history books, it's not something I learned when I was in primary school or high school. But when I started university, I became aware of these massacres because Ravi G, who is a well-known cultural activist in Trinidad, he began doing a walk from Chaguanas to Monrepo, where the actual massacre take place. And his aim was to raise awareness of this vital part of our history.
Right.
And from, looking at his marches, I started researching, and to me, it was something that people had to know about. It's a vital part of our history, just like, slavery was. And I believe that it's something that makes up who we are. It contributed to the people that we are. And I just wanted to bring it out into the forefront and make persons more aware of what took place, the conditions that the Indians had to live under that pushed them in the direction to revolt, and why the British also tried to squash these observances.
Wow.
So for me, it was important. It was, to be able to teach, I guess. Both my parents are teachers, so I still have a bit of, teaching in me.
Yes.
So I wanted to be able to, people to be able to access this information and to access it in an easy to read format.
Yeah.
Instead of, combing through the archives and going through the history books. It gives them all the information, but in an easy to read format.
Yeah. As you mentioned, giving them that story and in a way that, they don't necessarily have to just go through the history books to get it. How much research went into accurately portraying colonial Trinidad and the experiences of indentured laborers?
It took a lot. This book took a long while to write, because I would start it, I would write, put it down, come back to it. There's not much easily available information on the indenture experience. And a lot of it is in textbooks and nonfiction books that the average person may not think about picking up and reading.
Right.
So it was a little tough to get information. Most of my info I got from a book called Years of Revolt, which was written by Father David I, who he has written a lot of historical books on Trinidad. And this particular book basically gave me all the information that I needed to work through the second half of the book, which was the actual massacre, the actual regulations that were put in place.
Yeah.
For the fiction part of the book, there was just, a lot of reading on the experience of the indentures and talking to whoever else is still alive, because it was a long time ago. You maybe have one or two persons who were in that situation.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of research.
Wow. And along those lines of the research, were there any historical discoveries during during that time, or any surprises that would have moved you in a way, with your discoveries?
The actual massacre itself was, I won't say surprising, but it was eye-opening in that, learning about their conditions on the estates, and then the way that they were so focused on keeping their culture and protecting their heritage, their culture, and this particular Husay observance. And then seeing how the British, they just wanted to take that away from them.
Yeah.
Because they were afraid of the revolt that may come if they allowed them to, continue with their observances. So, just seeing the interaction between the indentured Indians and the British authorities, and the callousness that the authorities, I think they could have tried harder when it came down to the actual shooting of the Indians. To me, I don't think it was necessary, but to them, they wanted to make that mark. They wanted to leave that message to others that if you continue to, disobey us and our regulations, this is something that will happen.
Yeah.
So just delving into all the research and seeing what these people are, on both sides, how they thought and what they had to go through, it was a bit eye-opening.
Definitely.
It was.
And how did you balance that historical accuracy with creative storytelling?
So, because the book is actually about the Hussein massacre,
yeah,
I made sure that the historical facts surrounding that particular occurrence was accurate. I knew that because there was not much information on the indentured laborers and their life, I knew I had a certain amount of leeway there in which I could fictionalize it and make it into an interesting story. But the information and the facts, the dates, the numbers surrounding the actual massacre, I made sure to keep that accurate.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you hope the younger generations would learn about this period in history through your book? And what was it like transitioning into historical fiction for adults from writing several successful children's books?
For me, I would like our young people and adults to delve more into the indentureship period.
Yeah.
I mean, almost half of our population are, from indentured immigrants. We are descendants. So it would be nice if, people look at their own family history and, maybe talk to their aunts, uncles, grandparents, and, learn about what their experiences were. And that, I think the resilience and the strength that they showed, we could adapt some of that to our own lives. And, and it's a part of our history. So we need to know, because only when you know your history, then you know where you're going to. As for children's books, children's books will always be my main focus.
Yeah.
As I enjoy seeing them reading it. I do a lot of book readings in primary schools, and to see the joy in their eyes when they read these books. Most of my books are fantasy, so it allows the children to use their imagination and to think outside the box. The transition from children to historical fiction was, a little bit iffy. I mean, they're two completely different genres.
Yeah.
But I think with children's books, it helps me relax a bit, in that I don't have to be so structured and ensure that everything is historically right.
Yeah.
Whereas with historical fiction, you have to. So I think it's just a mindset. And I enjoy writing both. And I think I will continue with both.
Wow, well, that's good to hear. Now, was there any particular scene that was especially difficult or meaningful to write about?
I think the most difficult scene is at the end of the book, with the actual massacre. Now, during the massacre, 22 Indians were killed, and quite a lot more were wounded. in my initial draft that I sent to my editor, I did not talk about the killings. Because it's not something nice. It's not something, you know. But he advised that, you know, to bring the book to a powerful end, I should show a scene where one of the well-loved characters, Ganesh, he was actually shot and killed, and how this impacted his family, because he now leaves a wife and 2 children behind, and also his friends. So it was a difficult scene to write because it had to do with death.
Yeah.
But it was an essential scene. Another scene that was very difficult for me to write was one of the indentured laborers, a female. She was assaulted by one of the overseers on the estate, one of the white overseers.
Right.
And that was a difficult scene to write because I don't think any authors are comfortable writing that sort of story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that was, and that scene came in late in my writing because it's not something I was comfortable with.
Yeah.
But because I wanted to show life on the estate and what the indentured laborers went through, especially the woman, it was a necessary scene again that had to go in.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing that that part with us also, though, that difficulty. You gave us insights on what we can look out for as well when reading the book. So what does this novel say about the resilience of the people who came to Trinidad under the indentureship?
Well, the people who left India to come to Trinidad, they were given all these promises of what life would be like in Trinidad. And these people were coming from very tough situations in India, poverty, oppression, that kind of thing. And with all these promises of coming to this milk and honey land, they were initially told it was 6 hours away, whereas it actually took 3 months to get here. So they were given all these false promises. And then when they came here and they were faced with the actual reality of working sun up to sundown under harsh conditions, living in unsanitary conditions, and they knew they couldn't go back. So they had to find the strength to just adapt to the conditions and to try to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where their resilience came from, their strength. And I believe they passed on a lot of that to their descendants. You know, we take bad situations, we try to just find the positive side of it and just try to work our way through and to make the best of it, because this is what they did and this is what they taught to us.
Absolutely. And along those lines, why is historical fiction such a powerful way to preserve and share our nation's stories?
Okay, for me, because, okay, we do history or social studies in primary school, then we may do, you know, some of it in secondary school. But after that, the majority of us don't really pick up a history book, textbook as such, unless we have, you know, a certain interest in a particular time, then we may pick up, you know, something. But for the average person, they're not gonna do the research and learn about our history. Historical fiction, to me, gives them an easy way, an enjoyable way to, you know, read a novel and still learn about the history. So you get 2 with 1. You know, we have many more readers of fiction than readers of history books, nonfiction.
Yeah.
So I think it's an easy way, it's a more accessible way for people to learn about the history, a more creative way for the authors to bring forward the history that makes us a people. And and more enjoyable for even young adults to read and to learn about where they came from, or, just world history events, the wars, famines, whatever occurrence we take in history. It's an easy way to get into it and to understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. And on another note, you're also the managing director of JAB Publishing House. So how has being a publisher shaped your perspective as an author?
So most authors think, and I did too when I started, that when you write the book, that's it. You write the book, you publish the book, and somehow it's going to magically sell. Being a publisher has given me eyesight on the other side of the world, the marketing part of it.
Yeah.
So now when I consult with other new authors who are coming out, and they have these questions and they want to know, okay, what happens next? What do we do next? I'm able to guide them and show them. So basically, I have learned from the writing stages, drafting, editing, publishing, and now I have learned about the marketing, and I'm able to give them this information and to help them through getting their books into bookstores, or how they can help get their sales. Like the author you just had, Claire Thomas, I worked with her on her books, doing the book layout and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then now she's into the marketing part of it.
Yes.
And I worked with her on both books, and she's now more experienced. She knows what to do now. So it has given me insight on both sides, from the author and from the publisher.
Wow. And even looking back at the journey, or at your journey, from writing for Junior Express as a child to publishing your first historical novel, what does this moment mean to you personally?
Publishing this first novel, and actually, because the children's books are smaller books, this would be the first full-length novel. And to think that, hey, I wrote a book, a real novel, that people are going to read. It gives you a great sense of achievement.
Yeah.
And knowing that people are reading it, they have their questions, they message me all the time, where do you get all your information from? It's really nice to know that people are learning about their history. And I mean, publishing my book, first real-length book, was amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
That's so great to hear. Thank you so much, Ms. Gosine, for coming on this morning and being a part of our show and just sharing.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. For sharing and, letting us know that there is more to it, especially when it comes to our history. And it's okay to learn and to guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, we are about to take a short break. When we come back, we have more engaging conversations, so stay with us.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm not to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have 2. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of this game.
no.
Let's go to the last part.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Welcome back. Every year, hundreds of vehicles are stolen across Trinidad and Tobago, leaving owners anxious and often with little hope of seeing their property again. Traditionally, vehicle recovery relied heavily on police reports, eyewitnesses' accounts, and ground searches, methods that could take hours or even days to yield results. But today, technology is changing that reality. We discuss this further in our Tech Evolution segment. Through the use of artificial intelligence, drone surveillance, and real-time tracking systems, companies like Air Support Tactical Security, Drone Guards Solutions are taking vehicle recovery to another level. By coming aerial intelligence with trained response teams and a 24-hour command center, recoveries are becoming faster, safer, and more precise. In an era where criminals are becoming increasingly sophisticated, security providers are also evolving, using cutting-edge technology to stay one step ahead. This morning, we explore how AI and tactical innovation are transforming the way stolen vehicles are found and recovered with Drone Guard Solutions CEO Dirk Barnes. Good morning, Mr. Barnes.
Good morning, Ms. Thompson, and good morning to your listeners. How are you this morning?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good.
Lovely to have you.
I just say blessed.
That's good to hear. Now, right off the bat, vehicle theft continues to be a major concern for many citizens. So from your experience, how significant is this problem in our country currently?
Right, so let's put this into context. Since they invented the first vehicle, this thing is Mr. Benz has been attributed to that innovation close to 100 and maybe 50 years ago. When they invented the first vehicle, they invented the first car thief. And I say this because ultimately, law enforcement across the globe have been battling with this problem of motor vehicle larceny, robbery, motor vehicle theft. And it has been across all law enforcement agencies, whether it's east, west, north, or south. And Trinidad and Tobago is no stranger to that.
Yeah.
In Trinidad and Tobago, we have, after the drug trade, the money that you get from the drug trade, stolen vehicles and the stolen vehicle industry has been rendering results for the underworld. A few years ago, when my good friend Mr. Somber from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service gave his statistics, he would have commonly and occasionally come on the media and basically release the figures of losses, which were anywhere from $67 million to $78 million. And that was then. 5-6 years later, from what we are seeing in terms of stolen vehicles, doubling, tripling, and most recently quadrupling in terms of losses, we expect that figure to be much higher.
Right.
So that is the context of which I want to put it for you.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying and giving that context. So what factors or factor would have drove DroneGuard's solution to incorporate AI and drone technology into that vehicle recovery operations?
Well, Air Support Tactical, we have been involved in the stolen vehicle recovery industry for just about 15 years. And in that space of time, we have gone through different iterations of our GPS tracking and our tactics. We started off with what was originally GPS Cloud, we went to CarSafe, and now we're at DroneGuard, because we were able to make the investment into some enterprise drone systems and incorporate that primarily for situational awareness and safety of our officers. But as we started to use the system, we recognized there was so much more we could have added to it, and that's where the AI component came in.
Right.
So what drove us towards that is the constant cat and mouse game we play with car thieves. We would come out with some degree of innovation today, in fact, any company. And that common innovation is going to be analyzed as it's being used and implemented in society, and it's going to be analyzed by the underworld, and they're going to find ways around it. They're going to adjust their tactics, and when they do, it is then back to us looking at what it is they're doing, coming up with new solutions and rolling that out. So it's a constant cat and mouse game.
Absolutely. And in terms of the challenges that would have come about, I believe you touched on it, but just to maybe elaborate some more, with the conventional methods that would have been used before the AI being incorporated and drones, what were some of the challenges that were happening with those methods?
Well, the main thing was situational awareness. You would have, so we're looking primarily here at GPS, and even if we go basic, we're looking at if you have no GPS and we go into an area and we're searching for a vehicle, we could only see from a terrestrial point of view, we could only see from a horizontal point of view.
Right.
Whatever way our eyes focus, that is the input that we have at that point in time. Now, as you start to incorporate GPS gives us the ability to see that point on our map. So we are still going to a location, and then from there, we're looking at for that particular vehicle at that particular point, which 99% of the time, works. But when you reach into some areas, for example, like a quarry, that vehicle could be parked up on behind some dirt somewhere. And because that area may not have a cellular signal, that coordinate might be an old coordinate. So we are searching an entire quarry, and basically we have to cover wherever we could see vehicle tracks, which we do. Sometimes you have to use canine if it is you have something to work off of. So those were the traditional methods that we use. As drones came out and they became more affordable and the ranges of these drones extended and the camera capability, we could now get an aerial view. And that lessens the amount of time we spend on a site searching for a vehicle where a signal might have been compromised. So that's one of the key benefits we get from using drone technology.
Definitely. And how has the technology changed the speed in terms of recovering stolen vehicles?
Oh, no, that has been phenomenal. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Our most recent recovery was just about 4 minutes and 42 seconds because that vehicle was located within the east-west corridor, and our drone, in terms of flight, which is not inhibited by traffic, can fly directly to that location. And funny enough, we don't even need to reach right over the vehicle. We could be a mile away or sometimes a mile and a half away, and with 112 to 200x zoom, we could zoom in and read the license plate or even look at or investigate the vehicle. So that is something that has really helped us as well. Now, as we also look in terms of speed, one of the key things that I always have to be focused on, and this is real investment towards the enterprise drone system that we purchased, was the safety of my officers. We slow down when we get into a particular area where the vehicle is, especially if it's an area that we know is a crime hotspot or is under the control of criminal gangs or criminal enterprise.
Right.
So we don't just rush in because we have to look at our personal safety. With drones, we could stay on the outskirts, send up the drone, take a look at what's happening, find the vehicle or locate the vehicle based on what we now call error lock. And once we have eyes on the vehicle, we can move in cautiously. But from the minute the drone has eyes on that vehicle is recovered. With our teams close by, the police coming in, and a drone watching it, even if the car thief jumps on that vehicle and starts to drive away, that drone locks on and stay on that particular vehicle until our teams intercept.
Wow. And now, many people would hear the term AI, but may not fully understand its practical application. So how exactly is the artificial intelligence being used in recovery operations?
Well, that is a very complex question, so I'll break it down into certain areas.
Okay.
Number one, when you call into Air Support Tactical, the calls coming in is going to be transcribed. The information that is coming is analyzed by AI, and that information is disseminated to the correct team. So even though the operator who may be taking the information from you is going to pass that information on, that information is being passed specifically. So the AI is going to pull out keywords like location, what happened, were other people involved, did they see the criminal, do they have a description? You know, those things that the human may not necessarily process or might overlook, and we don't want that information or key information being overlooked passed on to our teams and our management team. So that is one aspect of the AI. The other part of it is the analyzing of the telemetry data. While the teams are responding, we have a new system that we call Guardian Plus, and Guardian Plus is actually looking at what this vehicle is doing. So imagine the vehicle has been taken from a customer. With AI, we can start to look at what this particular event, whether it's a robbery and the type of vehicle and the time of day and the location, has this resembled any other MO that would have happened before? And then it starts to predict where this vehicle might go. So it helps us pre-position our assets so we can lessen the response time. That is another aspect of it. Now, the key aspect that we see out in the field is the AI that's built into the drone systems, which helps us with optical recognition. So for example, if we're looking for a red teeter, we could type in red teeter, and every time a red teeter passes in the object or in the camera of that particular drone, that is going to flag the operator. So if, for example, a vehicle was taken into an area, like we see this happening often where it's taken into the hospital car parks, while the teams are going in and we have to search each vehicle to look for that particular stolen vehicle, we could just put in looking for a white teeter license plate, so, and once the drone passes it, it flags it, and it takes a video and a snapshot and passes it on to the operator. So the operator can say, okay, I have eyes on. Now, we have to remember there's so much things happening during a recovery.
Yeah.
You have the victim on the one side, we have the TTPS we have to coordinate to the other side, and then we have our own armed officers, which are deploying as well. So that particular operator has a lot to do. And not only that, when you have a drone in the air, there are many other regulatory requirements that we have to make sure that we have in place, from drone observation, control, and all these and line of sight of the drone. So all of these things require that we provide as much assistance to the different team members that are involved in the process.
Yeah, definitely. And now you've said there is a difference between recovery coordination and tactical recovery. So can you explain that distinction for us, please?
Well, first, explain the distinction, I will have to kind of give you an evolution of what has been happening in the stolen vehicle recovery industry.
Okay.
You know, before GPS really came out, there was one other company that used a system called LoJack, and they would go out and search for the vehicle, and they would find the vehicle, and that was where privatized stolen vehicle recovery started. When companies like Air Support Tactical and a couple others came on board, we started doing that, but from a GPS perspective. And stolen vehicle recovery always meant that we deploy our own private units to intercept the vehicle, not relying on the police, the national police, for their resources. Now, the national police, I say this, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is our police service. We should be proud of it. They are premier police service, well respected in the Caribbean, and in fact, across the globe. And they know what they're doing, but they don't have unlimited resources. So, like we saw a couple of weeks ago, we were responding to a stolen vehicle, and the police did not have resources to send because those resources were already deployed doing something else.
Right.
Now, bringing that into perspective, our challenge would be when a company pops up and they say they're providing stolen vehicle recovery, but what they're actually doing is just calling the police and relaying GPS coordinates to the police for the police to do the heavy lifting. That is stolen vehicle recovery coordination. They're coordinating an effort. They're not actually deploying any assets. And what has happened is that some new pop-up companies have been using the ignorance of some of the clients and some of the public to make it seem as though they have all of these wonderful resources, but when you check, they don't. And when you call them and you ask specifically, what do you mean by recovery? Do you send out someone? And they will actually tell you, because they have to tell the truth in most cases, no, we send out a person. Sorry, we call the police. Now, we have seen one other company that has been purporting that they send out a unit, but what they are doing is sending out an untrained civilian to show up, be in the area until the police arrive. And that's more of a photo op. So again, that is coordinating, because ultimately, unless the agency is approved by the Ministry of Homeland Security as a protective service agency under the Supplemental Police Act, like for example, Air Support Tactical and that other company that uses LoJack that I spoke of, unless they are so registered, they are not actually fitted to do stolen vehicle recovery. And Air Support Tactical is, and that is why we have now shifted the term to make it clear that we are not just about stolen vehicle recovery like some of these other companies, but we conduct tactical recovery, a tactical response, where armed officers, highly trained armed officers who have synchronized their training for this particular type of operation are deployed, and that is what brings the success that the clients look for.
Yeah, and let's just touch a bit on that tactical approach. So having a dedicated response team is very important when every minute counts. So how does your tactical approach improve the chances of successfully recovering these vehicles or a vehicle?
Well, you hit the nail on the head, because every second counts when you have a stolen vehicle.
Yeah.
You have a vehicle taken from someone. A car thief is going to try to move as quickly as possible. He's going to drive that vehicle like he's literally like he stole it, and he's going to bypass all traffic, pass through traffic lights, go to an area just to put that car into an area where they can do what they need to do with it. Now, a car thief can take a car apart, take batteries out in just about 2 to 3 minutes. When it's the hybrid vehicles, they could take a car apart in just around 45 minutes to under an hour. And this is what the new power tools that they use now. So imagine your car is stolen, and you're picking up the phone and you're calling an entity to respond, and they're telling you, okay, we're going to call the police, and then by the time they call the police and they pass on the information, which could take between 5 to 10 minutes just to give the police all the information, by the way. I mean, I've had victims who have said, that's a long process. And while that is happening, a car thief is with your vehicle going further and further away. With us, in terms of what we do, we always keep a team ready and a team on standby. So when you have that call coming in, within 3 minutes, which is our what we train towards, within 3 minutes, we are supposed to have boots on the ground. We're supposed to have wheels turning on the roadway, heading towards your vehicle. And it really becomes down to if that vehicle's moving and the distance from when our teams and our drone is responding. And we have seen response time go from anywhere from most recent 4 minutes. For this year, the longest we have taken is 27 minutes. So this is why we try to lessen the time that car teams would have your vehicle, so you get back your vehicle intact.
Yeah. What is one of the hardest recoveries you've ever had to go through or experience?
Hard ones. I mean, okay, let me see. All right, so this is many years ago. This was December, I think, 2019. So we had a vehicle that was taken at gunpoint from a customer, but the circumstances were the vehicle was it was a renter-own arrangement, and I know that the vehicle would have undergone some sort of it was repaired after an accident.
Right.
So there were some wiring issues with the vehicle. And then what happened was when the vehicle was taken from that customer, I think it was somewhere on the Beatum, shortly after the device went offline for no apparent reason. So we knew the device would come online because we figured it was bad wiring was causing the issue. And I was a customer for a few years. We never had a problem before that, but because he was renting it out after the accident, this thing happened. And we sat down, that happened on a Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. And we had set up some geofences, we had set up some alerts so that if the vehicle ever came back up online, we would, move on it immediately.
Yeah.
And then the next day, the car thief decided to use the vehicle. It came online, it was driving around, the Panyard in Laventil there, it was driving around that area. So this was around 9 o'clock in the night. So we mounted up our team and we headed into the area. We were 2 vehicles, all fully armed, and we know that these guys are armed, so we know we're going into some kind of very dangerous, possibly a firefight situation. And while we were there, the vehicle was up and down, going into certain areas, so we couldn't follow. And that was what was making it difficult. Now, this is before drones and all that kind of stuff. So again, we could only see, and we're getting this information on our tablets.
Right. And
we're driving around trying to find the best intercept point because that place was full of holes, and we didn't want to end up into a car chase scenario. And then police from IATF had linked up with us. Well, I'm from the military, so they recognized me and they decided to join. And then this vehicle just decided to turn and come straight down towards us. And when they came down, we were able to block them in. At this point in time, I am out. I'm looking at this guy down the sights of my weapon, and I'm telling him, "Show me your hands, show me your hands." And the guy he's frozen with his hands on the steering wheel. But I know that there are 2 guys in the back seat. And in that space of time, one of the guys jumped out and he ran. The second guy attempted it, but one of my officers intercepted him and body tackled him onto the ground. It was like out of a movie. I say that one was the hardest because it was the closest to danger that we knew that we were in.
Yeah.
We were watching them, and we did recover the firearm that they had used before. 2 men were arrested. The third one was eventually arrested like a week later.
Right.
I never followed up to find out what happened with them afterwards, but that is probably the hardest one that we have had because it took us a few hours of trying to position ourselves to have a recovery, a takedown, where no one will be injured.
Yeah.
Now with drones, we don't have that to worry about because we could have kept an eye, wait until they stop. I always tell people, if there's one thing a stolen vehicle must do, is stop and park up. So we could use drones now, keep a distance, get as much information and intelligence, and then get them when the least expected. So that's the difference between then and possibly what we do now.
Why the police don't use your security to do sting operations?
Sting operations from a private security point of view, and this might sound really, sound really bad, but that's not profitable for me.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I am a private organization, and I have stakeholders, and my stakeholders want to know that we are profitable. My finance stakeholders, my employees, even my clients, they want to know that we are going to exist next 10, 15 years. And when you look at a sting operation, I'm going to be putting out resources, salaries for officers, equipment, and all these different things. And a sting operation renders no change to our success rate. It renders no change in terms of what happens with stolen vehicles. Because even if we catch somebody in a sting operation, I now have to have officers ready to send them to court as another cost. And then on top of that, that person is going to lawyer up, end up on bail outside, doing the same thing come tomorrow. So I've invested all of this additional resources into money for something that really and truly doesn't change my operation and also does not bring in any revenue. So I have to focus where my efforts really work. And the main thing is, if I have my clients, I have quite a few clients, I have to safeguard them. I have to maximize the effect of my resources for my clients.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to be able to keep Trinidad and Tobago safe. Maybe one day I might be a commissioner. I will apply whenever that comes up again. But until then, in the space that I have right now, in terms of where I operate, I have to look at the best and most strategic use of the resources. And that is what I'm doing currently.
Okay. And beyond recovering stolen vehicles, how does the technology help protect drivers from robberies, kidnappings, or any other threat that may come about?
Well, the technology is not a security technology per se. The security comes in the support that is coming from the company.
Right.
So with Air Support Tactical specifically, we do provide other types of response in terms of kidnappings. We have been involved in a number of different kidnapping operations with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. 2 of them were successful rescues. Unfortunately, we have also had 2 losses where we were contacted long after the fact. We assisted in recovery of the deceased. So there are advantages to having GPS tracking, especially when you're using it properly. Early warning, the sooner you can pass on to your GPS provider that something is wrong, whether it's through a loved one or something like that, or panic button, that's the sooner response could come towards you. So it cannot really protect you from the attack. It can't protect you from the danger, but it could definitely lessen the impact of that danger, whether it's the loss of the vehicle or you being hurt or something happening to you fatally. It could really lessen that particular impact depending on the amount of time it takes for the company to respond. Now, we have been working with I mentioned a while ago, the Guardian Plus system, to start to do something like AI monitoring, behavioral monitoring. So we look at how you use your vehicles, the places that you frequent, what you do, and how you drive, so that if the AI picks up that something is different and it looks weird, the AI could then alert the operator, and we could provide some human investigation to determine if it is you are in real danger or if it is just a false positive. So that's another way we are trying to improve on the technology, so it will lessen the impact of danger towards our clients.
Yeah. And just to narrow it in a bit in terms of having the female drivers or even vulnerable motorists, just to share a bit on how can these services, provide that additional peace of mind for them.
Well, and that's a good term you use there, peace of mind, because ultimately you buy a vehicle, you want to enjoy it, you want to go places with it, and you want to make sure that you will always have your vehicle because it's your investment. And that is a peace of mind that we try to provide. But we also, if you look at this entire conversation so far, I did mention this is a cat and mouse game.
Yeah.
What would be the things that we look at today may not necessarily be the same thing tomorrow. And I don't want my clients to be driving around with a false peace of mind. So we have to constantly be improving. So for female drivers, for example, your main vulnerability is a carjack or a kidnapping, and we have seen that happen already. So what we have been looking to do now is building, like, for example, the Guardian Plus platform that we are going to be rolling out soon, as well as we have already incorporated the panic buttons. But besides that, a lot of awareness training is something that we have been engaged with at Air Support Tactical. In fact, I'm probably the only one, or one of 2 maybe, companies that come out constantly and will speak to the public, letting the public know these are the dangers that exist, because awareness and education will cause people to come up with new plans and consider their own personal safety a bit differently. So the chances that you take, you're going to become more aware that those are chances, and you're going to change your behaviors. So that is some of the ways that we can look at it. And I will say this as well. There are so many non-tangible things you can do. You don't have to spend a cent. Things that you can do with a bit more awareness, and you could use those things to safeguard yourself, your vehicle, and even your home. So becoming more aware of those things is what's going to help you create a better security profile.
Yeah. And what message would you like to leave with motorists who may still be relying on traditional methods of vehicle protection?
Well, I would leave this message. Technology scares some of us. I've looked at a lot of the new customers we get, and I ask sometimes, how come you are taking GPS now? And one of the key things is that they didn't understand what GPS was before, and they now understand. With all of these different things like ChatGPT and Google and Gemini, I beg drivers, if you don't have GPS tracking in your vehicle, please go online and ask what GPS tracking is about. How does it work?
Right.
Become more aware and find out how it'll work for you. Now, there are several companies in Trinidad and Tobago providing GPS tracking and stolen vehicle recovery. I can say Air Support Tactical provides that, and tactical recovery. So you can get in contact with us, message us on WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, all of our messages come to one spot. It is monitored by AI. The AI has been trained to give answers and to take questions, but we always have a human that is available right behind it who's observing those messages to jump in and assist you if it is there something else that we need to explain. But information is key. Become more informed. That is the one message I would like to leave with drivers who are not yet subscribed to a GPS tracking solution.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Barnes, for coming on this morning and giving us that information. It was very informative and timely with what is happening right now in our country. So thank you so much for being a part of the conversation.
And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, as we wrap up today's show, we hope that everyone was able to leave something with you. And as I always say to close, stay safe, stay informed, stay positive. Up next, we do have Sean Michael Small at 8 with Talking Point. So you'd want to come back for that. And I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Goodbye.
WESN